Every night, a woman hails a taxi and ends up getting the same one. Sometimes she needs to change directions to go to her boyfriend's place, but the driver always knows where to go without her specifying the address. The driver mentions that he always picks her up and notices she's always on the phone. At first, the woman thought it was just a coincidence, but what the driver said next made her completely uncomfortable. He kept chatting with her, asking why she always works so late. When the woman didn't answer, the driver went on and on about how unsafe it is at night, especially for a pretty girl like her who could easily become a target. He even mentioned that just last week, a girl near the woman's neighborhood was harmed by a bad guy. There's nothing more unsettling than a stranger's sudden concern because they always have ulterior motives. The next day, the woman deliberately left work early, but to her surprise, the driver was already waiting there. She didn't dare approach, but he kept honking, urging her to get in the car quickly. He said it was raining too heavily and not many taxis were out working. The woman had no choice but to take his car again. As usual, the driver was just as chatty. First, he said it was rude of her to hang up on her mom's call the night before. Then he said that at her age, she should listen to her family and get married and have kids. The driver knew more about the woman's situation than her own parents. How could she not be scared of someone like that? She didn't say a word to the driver. When they were about to reach a convenience store where she could take shelter from the rain, she asked the driver to stop. Unfortunately, he refused, saying the rain was too heavy and she didn't have an umbrella, so it'd be better to take her straight home. He mentioned that every time he drops her off, he waits until he sees the light in her home turn on before leaving. Finally, they arrived at the woman's building. She couldn't wait to open the door and pay, but at that moment, the driver disappeared. She discovered that the car doors were locked and wouldn't open, which made her incredibly anxious. Fortunately, after a minute, the door opened. The driver, holding an umbrella, wanted to walk her to her apartment. However, the woman didn't dare let him take her home. She quickly stuffed the money into the driver's hand and swiftly opened the building's entrance. The driver insisted on making change, and the girl reluctantly told him to keep it. Nevertheless, he persisted in coming inside. She forcefully shut the door, which seemed to crush the driver's hand. He yelped in pain but stood up and loudly demanded to make change. Seeing that the woman wouldn't open the door, he told her to drink some hot water when she got home so she wouldn't catch a cold. The woman thought he was like a creepy stalker, so the next day, she moved to a new place. On her way to work, she called her boyfriend to complain about the incident and picked a new taxi. But as luck would have it, she heard the same familiar voice again.